First of all, to thank you for the opportunity to speak, and in particular, let me bring a salute of admiration from people in the United States who don't believe in what Obama is doing, don't support this war, find that the war is illegal, immoral, primitive, savage, barbaric, and should end as soon as possible. And let me also express, if I may, my admiration for the magnificent resistance of the Libyan people against NATO aggression and their firm commitment to sovereignty, independence, dignity, national pride, and the future of their country. So I'm essentially here on a fact-finding mission. I'm a writer. I wanted to see what was going on. Circumstances have allowed this. I've been very fortunate. So I've seen some of the evidence of what has been done, and I hope then to take that back to the United States and elsewhere and make sure that people understand what's happening. And the goal, of course, is that the U.S. Congress will, as soon as possible, cut off the funding for this illegal bombing so that this terror campaign against the Libyan people will cease. And if Obama does not cooperate, then I would say he has to be impeached. He's already gone beyond the limits of the War Powers Act. He's been bombing Libya for more than 90 days. He is now guilty of a federal crime, and we hope to get some backbone into the Congress so that they'll impeach him. Clinton was impeached for a bagatelle compared to the crimes against humanity now Obama's committing.
نعم ويبستر غريفن تاربلي. قصة أخرى ومحطة أمريكية أخرى تكشف الخداع deception وتنفض الغبار وتغوص في أعماق الظواهر. سيد مستر تاربلي، لقد كان لك استقراء للواقع في كتابين قبل أن يأتي أوباما إلى الحكم، أحدهما في مارس 2008 والآخر في أغسطس 2008، فترة زمنية قليلة تتحدث على الخداع، كان إحداها في البرايمري والكتاب الثاني قبل الكونفنشن. هل نستطيع أن نقول سيد تاربلي أن وقعنا في الخديعة التي وقع فيها الشعب الأمريكي، حيث أن أوباما هناك خطابان وجهها للعالم الإسلامي، وكان العالم الإسلامي واقفا على رجليه ينتظر الخير من هذا الرئيس. إحدى الخطابات كان في اسطنبول والآخر في جامعة القاهرة، والمسلمون واقفون يقولون هذا الرجل الأسود سيأتي منه الخير، ولم يناموا تلك الليلة وكانت شيكاغو تعلن فوز الرئيس أوباما. هل نحن وقعنا في الخديعة مرة أخرى؟
I'm afraid so, but you're in very good company because the American people were duped, were fooled. The difference between Obama and Bush is that Bush and the neocons were open, brutal aggressors, imperialists. Bush said, bring it on, dead or alive, and so forth. With Obama, everything is based on deception, on dissembling, on trickery, on lies, the pleasant face of reform, hope, change, singing tomorrows. The reality is we see a brutal campaign of bombing, aggression, and naval blockade too. Remember that in 2007, 2008, the United States was at a very low point strategically, isolated, militarily defeated, really, in Afghanistan and Iraq, heading towards bankruptcy. So what happened was imperialism needed a facelift, right? Plastic surgery for imperialism. Take away the snarling face of Bush and Rumsfeld and put the nice face of Obama on there. But unfortunately, what you were getting, as I've written about it, was a Manchurian candidate. That is, someone who had been, if not exactly brainwashed, had been prepared over a long period of time, say 20 years, or 25 years to carry out this mission. He was part of a stable of politicians who had been assembled in the early 1980s by people like Samuel Huntington, Zbigniew Brzezinski, and generally speaking, the Trilateral Commission, David Rockefeller's group, a Wall Street group which acts then in politics. And they knew that they calculated they would be facing a social crisis around 2010, give or take a few years, and they began preparing a special kind of post-racial black candidate, Obama being an example, to be able to bring that person in and win an election of the type that we just had. The reality of Obama is that his grandparents worked for the CIA. His mother worked for the CIA. She worked for the United States Agency for International Development. She also worked for the Ford Foundation, which is the privatized version of the CIA. Obama himself worked for a company called Business International Corporation, CIA front. He also then worked for a series of foundations, the Joyce, the Woods, the Gamaliel, and the Annenberg. So this is the world of the foundations. He is an operative. And the main things about him I think you should know is he is a warmonger. When he came into office, we had 2 wars. We had Afghanistan and Iraq. He has massively escalated the war with Pakistan. He has started a war now with Yemen. And of course, he has bombed and blockaded Libya. So we're now up to, I believe we're up to 5 wars, and we may soon have the trifecta, which would be Syria, Iran, and Lebanon all at once. We'd be up to 8 wars. So this is, as I say in this book, it's a recipe for world tragedy. The other thing about him is he's a Wall Street puppet. He does exactly what the Wall Street banks tell him to do. And he's also a union buster. He hates labor. He hates teachers, he hates workers of all kinds, and he wants to crush them. So this is unfortunately the reality underneath the smiling face.
This is it mean he came for unfinished business في أنه جاي لاستكمال عمل لم يستكمل بعد. فهل نحن في هذه الصورة وفي هذه الأوصاف وفي هذه التحليلات التي عملت هل نحن وقعنا في منتصف الطريق لكي يشنوا علينا حرب؟ وخاصة في أحد الكتبك في شابتر تكلمت على ثورات الألوان التي عمت شرق أوروبا وبعض الدول العربية. كيف تحلل هذه الحرب من هذه الخلطة التي أتيت بها وتكلمت عنها في هذان أو 3 كتب التي كتبتها؟
Yes, a very important theme. The CIA over the years has developed ways to overthrow governments, to essentially defeat the modern state. And the CIA was carrying these things out under Bush. We had the Orange Revolution in Ukraine. We had the Roses Revolution in Georgia. We had an attempted revolution, the Cedars of Lebanon, which did not work because there was a mass organization that didn't let it happen. Now, the Obama election campaign was a color revolution inside the United States. Mm-hmm. But now that has now been re-exported again with Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and the social media, all cynically manipulated by the CIA, by U.S. Cyber Command, which is a military department which does nothing but internet.
وهذا جزء ما رأيناه من خلال ما يسمى دعم الديمقراطية في المؤسسة called National Endowment for Democracy. We find out لقد وجدنا أن هذه المؤسسة تعطي أموالا لكثير من الليبيين الذين they soften the theater يعني جهزوا المسرح للانقضاض من قبل الإسلاميين. يعني هذه ما يحدث في ليبيا الآن هو ابتدأه NGOs and after the fanatic the قاعدة take over on the land.
Right. And we'll get to Al-Qaeda in just a minute, but the idea is that using these techniques of manipulation, there was an attempt to do it in Iran in the summer of 2009. That didn't work. But then we got WikiLeaks into the act, right? Julian Assange. Now, this is also an emanation of the CIA. This is the CIA exposing itself, a striptease by the CIA, showing certain parts, hiding other parts. So the outcome of WikiLeaks was to attack whom? To attack Ben Ali, to attack Colonel Gaddafi, to attack Mubarak, to attack Berlusconi, Putin, Fernandez Kirchner of Argentina, all the people that the CIA doesn't like or wanted to get rid of. And then we had the Jasmine Revolution in Tunisia. Now again, this is a destabilization. It's a coup. You have the youth in the square, people who are interested in Twitter and Facebook and so forth. This allows the international media to say it's a democracy revolution. But this is not really where the struggle of power is. The struggle of power is in the background in the form of a military coup, a palace putsch carried out by the Tunisian military, and the same thing in Egypt by Field Marshal Tantawi and General Enan, who were in the Pentagon when the destabilization started. So you have this crowd in the square, but that's not really the action. The action is the coup behind the scenes. Now, Libya, obviously different. Because of your system of town meetings and this participatory democracy that you have, it's much more difficult to have anything like a color revolution. So what was planned in this case is...
We create the color revolution. Our revolution is called the Green Revolution. Our leader قائدنا هو الذي أبدع ثورة الألوان. لكن من أجل الخير، من أجل النماء، من قائدنا أبدع ثورة الألوان، من أجل الخير، من أجل النماء، من أجل المشاركة الكبيرة للشعب الليبي في نظام الحكم. ولكن هذه الثورات الألوان ثورات الشياطين. فكيف